can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of RX Bar, Jackson's Honest, P90X, Atari, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and in business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Rise25 hosts in-person VIP events and masterminds for top entrepreneurs all over the country, including many events in the e-commerce industry. Rise25, I think last year we hosted events in Austin, Chicago, Santa Barbara, San Diego, New York, Sonoma, Las Vegas, probably some I'm missing. So if you see value of immersing yourself with other top entrepreneurs to connect and collaborate to get your business to the next level, go to rise25.com, contact us, and find out where our next event is going to be. Today, I'm very excited. We have Sadie Scheffer. Now, I was introduced to today's guest by Abigail Wald. She's a past guest, founder of Yes Bar, so thanks, Abigail, for that. And when I started my research with Sadie, I found an article that came up, and it was called "The Most Delicious Gluten-Free Bread Known to Humans." So I'm like, wow, okay, we're off to a good start here. So today we have Sadie Scheffer, founder of Bread SRSLY. It's Bay Area's first gluten-free sourdough bread company, and the company began late in 2011 after a bout of gluten-free sourdough experiments in her home kitchen, which I'm sure we'll hear about. The bread is free of any gluten, eggs, dairy, soy, sugar, tree nuts, peanuts, potatoes, and some other things I'm probably missing. But, Sadie, I'm sure it's not free of good taste, right? That's what I've read. She began to send 40, 60, 100 loaves out in the world, delivered by ladies on bikes. So I need to hear about these stories, too. Most weeks she biked 100 miles plus to get the bread out. That's dedication. They're now found in stores all over California. They've expanded to Arizona and Idaho, including some regional Whole Foods and Safeways. And production has gone from her home kitchen to their 6th commercial kitchen. Sadie, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Talk about the packaging, because you guys have really beautiful packaging. And
Thank you.
It started off, so we'll say a brown paper bag. And so how did you come up with the present packaging?
I'm pretty sure Vanessa made the move from like a brown lunch bag to a brown coffee bag. Yeah. And we had this little rearrangeable stamp kit and a red ink pad and a brown ink pad. So we had like a coffee bag, it had like Bread SRSLY, classic gluten-free sourdough, and that was it. And we would like do the tin tie, close it. And so we stuck with that for a couple years. And then every time we did shows, like especially gluten-free expos, people would always be like, "Oh, this is so delicious, but how long does it take to make? I don't think I'm ever going to get around to baking it." I'm like, no, it's already baked. It's in the bag, but everybody thought it was a mix.
Because of that.
Because they couldn't see it.
Well, you can see the bread. Yeah, you can see the...
No, not at the time.
Gotcha.
Window. So then it's like, okay, we have to have a window. And I got this idea in my head that it had to be this adorable bread-shaped window, which is our logo. So I entered into it, does this like small business contest, or I don't know if they still do it, but they did it every year for a while. And it was like tell us your wish and maybe we'll give you $5,000. So I entered that and said, we have to have this bread window. Nobody knows what our product is. And I won. So I got this $5,000 grant so that I could get the custom die to cut the bread-shaped window and get these bags made. So then the design process, I started working with my friend Rachel, who's a graphic designer, and I came to her with like a couple of bags and an X-Acto knife, and we like cut out the bread shape and got it in exactly the right place and put the bread in it. And as soon as we did that, I was like, we have to have this. It's the perfect thing. Right. So we did a pretty simple, like it had a little speech bubble coming off the bread that said the flavor. It was just a 2-color design. It was red and brown. It had Bread SRSLY with a little speech bubble. It said classic. It said gluten-free sourdough over here.
Yeah, if anyone goes to, you go to breadsrly.com, you can see it's just it's so clear, gluten-free bread, vegan too, and then, seriously with the nice window, and that's got the bubble with whatever flavor it is. So
that's the second iteration of this.
Okay.
The first one, all of them are the same color. The little blurb said gluten-free sourdough bread, and then the speech bubble just said classic, seeded, sweet onion, kale, sandwich rolls. And they were all the same color. So we had all this customer confusion where people got the wrong bag because they all look pretty much exactly the same. When we had our co-packer, some of their staff would pack the wrong flavor in the wrong bag, and you had to actually read each speech bubble as we packed the boxes to make sure there wasn't a seeded loaf in a kale bag. The worst was when kale got packed in a classic bag, because then you take out your classic sourdough loaf and it's got green on it.
Right.
So everyone's like, "Oh my God, there's moldy bread in here." It's like that was the worst mistake to make. So then we knew we had to change the colors, and I did a 2-color design just to save money, because you have to pay a fee every time the printing company changes their inks, basically.
Right.
So then the next version, we picked a different color for each flavor. We wanted to showcase that the bread was vegan, because most gluten-free breads either have eggs or dairy in
100%,
them.
100%, yeah.
And
I would think eggs would be a very common ingredient in it.
Very common. They help a lot. They add rise, they add lightness, they add shelf life. They add protein, which makes the bread softer. Like, eggs are a magical ingredient. But most people who are gluten intolerant are not intolerant to just gluten. I like to say gluten intolerance comes with friends. Like, it's very rare to find someone who's intolerant to just one thing. Yeah. So eggs and dairy are, I think, if not the 2 most common other intolerances, then among the top 2. I guess nuts following. So we wanted to showcase that as vegan. And call that out right on the front. So we made that blurb, gluten-free bread, vegan too, seriously, because we also wanted people to know what SRSLY meant. So we have to write out seriously right on the front. And then a lot of people would also, when they read the speech bubble that said classic or seeded, wouldn't realize that everything we do is sourdough. So at shows, people would be like, "Oh, the seeded was good, but I would like the sourdough." And we have to be like, "Well, they're all sourdough." So now the speech bubble will say classic sourdough, seeded sourdough. Right. So it's just sourdough everywhere. And it also frees us up to make non-sourdough products if we ever want to, now that we have that separated blurb. Yeah. But so far, I don't ever want to. I love sourdough, and I think it's the best for everybody. But and then I wanted to add some drawings just to have a little bit more flavor and a little bit of a softer feel. So we drew up the little onions.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah, so that was...
Love it. Looks great. It's interesting how the customer feedback immediately changed the packaging, right? Because people were like, "Oh, I don't want to bake it," and then you're like, "Oh, we need a window." It just seems so obvious when someone says it, but it's not obvious when you're just creating a packaging.
Totally.
Talk about the process of, you guys are Celiac Support Association certified. That seems like something difficult to do.
Not really. You just basically, the main criterion is that I think for Celiac Support Association, you have to have less than 5 parts per million gluten. So you literally just annually we send products to a lab and they get tested. And if they're still below that 5 ppm mark, then we keep our certification. You just have to pay for it and do some paperwork. Though. It's not that complicated, but it's very important, especially since the FDA changed their regulations, I think, summer 2016, about gluten-free labeling, where to label a product gluten-free, that means it now is required to have less than 20 parts per million gluten, but there is absolutely no enforcement by the FDA. So it was like a blessing and a curse for gluten-intolerant folk, especially people with celiac, where more brands suddenly labeled their stuff gluten-free, but less was trustable.
You can't,
even though there was more regulation.
Right.
It's like a very weird thing.
That's weird.
So it's very important to have those third-party certifications, either from Celiac Support Association or from the Gluten Intolerance Group. That's the little GF in a circle. So we have both of those.
Yeah. Sadie, first of all, I have 2 more questions, but thank you. This has been fantastic. I don't know if I've ever laughed this hard in an actual interview before.
Awesome.
The fact that there was a whale dead under the pier, but but everyone should check out breadseriously.com. I guess I didn't know because I was just going to bread SRSLY.com, but I guess you could spell it out too. So there you go. Go to breadseriously.com, see what they're doing. Awesome stuff. And hopefully they'll expand into an area wherever you are too. Like I'm in Chicago. I definitely want to buy Bread Seriously. So I guess I'm going to have to wait to visit my friends in San Francisco or tell them you need to go get this stuff. So thank you for sharing all this. The two last questions, since it's Inspired Insider, I always ask what's been a low moment and what's been a very proud moment for you. What's been, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of really hard times. What's been a low moment in the business?
The past few months have been a very low moment for me.
Really?
I mean, I've had many low moments, moments where I want to quit, but the past few months have been extremely challenging where basically it's the first time in 3.5 years that I'm baking again. My arms are like covered in burns and scars and stuff from suddenly being back in the kitchen, having to basically relearn my products because that was so out of sight, out of mind for the last 3 years. But also having to double my staff overnight. So, and not having the ability to do that. So thankfully we found
just other
we needed
people
bakers, we needed packagers, and then we needed people to manage the bakers and the packagers. So it's been, I would say 2 weeks ago was the first week that it's been smooth, and last week was not smooth because someone got the stomach flu, someone had a family emergency, someone had a prior commitment that they had let me know about in advance, and someone was on vacation.
More staff, more problems.
So it's like, it's just, the staffing has been so challenging. And like we've had such low turnover in the last 3 years where my employees have been with me for 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. They just, and if there is turnover, it's pretty
slow, gradual.
Someone will stay for 6 months,
Right.
So it's not super high. And then suddenly I'm having people stay for a day and then not show up to the next shift, or a week and then call out, or, so it's finding,
it's disruptive.
It's like constantly interviewing, constantly hiring people, constantly finding out that they can't come or having to let them go. And it's been crazy. But I think we've got a really good team right now.
Yeah.
Especially now that my manager is back from his 2-week vacation. He just got back this
I have a
week,
company announcement. No more vacations for anyone.
I know, it's my own
for
damn
3 years.
People vacation,
No,
right?
no.
I'm like, I'll give you paid vacation, but I hope you never use it. Please don't go anywhere. So, I can't blame him. He's been saving it up for like 2 years. So, we have a really good team right now, but it's been extremely challenging. And before we had the good team, I was literally working 22 hours straight.
Yeah. You pick up all the slack.
A couple of 24-hour shifts, which is a testament to him and his loyalty. And it's amazing that someone will do that for you. And it was just like, we had to get the job done. We grew so much for the holidays this past. So it wasn't just because we didn't have a co-packer. It was because
there are a lot of
immediately
factors.
went from 4,000 units a week to 6,500 units a week within 2 weeks of moving.
Right.
Because Thanksgiving is so crazy, and it didn't go back down until 2 weeks ago.
That's a good problem to have, but it's still tough.
All the best problems.
It's growing pains, can be really hard in a business too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also been a really high point that we made it through the holidays, that I managed to retain some employees and managed to really find some gems in the new people I've hired, like people I'm really excited to have on the team. That I'm like very happy to be working alongside, so that like the people are the hardest part and the most rewarding part of running the business. What
proudest? What's been one of the proud moments?
I mean, there's a lot, and they're all sizes. Like I'm proud to be selling bread in my favorite grocery store, which is Good Earth in Fairfax, and I'm proud to, have people, when I say I work with Bread Seriously, people know what that is and are excited to meet me. I love that. But I'm also very, very proud of my staff for pulling through this crazy time. And I'm proud that they stuck with me. I'm proud to be able to give them a good job, especially in the food industry where people get paid terrible wages and they have terrible conditions. You know, I'm proud to be a good employer.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadie, thank you. I want to round out because we never really finished. We talked about you going to San Francisco for Jesse, right? And finally you guys started dating. Close the loop on that. What?
Oh, yeah. Next week is our 2-year anniversary of our wedding. So
nice.
we did get married. We've been together for just shy of 8 years.
Very cool.
Things are going very well.
Thank you again. Thanks for anyone who's wondering. But everyone should check out breadsersly.com. And I want to be the first one to thank you. Say it's been fantastic.
It was really fun. Thanks so much.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.